Let me tell you something that's going to shock you, stretch you, and maybe even offend you. You've been taught to think about everyone but yourself, and it's killing your purpose. From the moment you were born, the world started programming you to sacrifice your dreams, your vision, and your identity on the altar of people-pleasing, conformity, and fear. You were told it's selfish to think about yourself. No, my friend, it's wise, it's essential, it's powerful. Because if you don't think about yourself, who will? You've been taught your whole life that putting yourself first is selfish. That looking after your own goals, your own needs, and your own desires makes you arrogant or self-centered. But the truth is that kind of thinking has created generations of people who are burnt out, resentful, and unfulfilled. Not because they're incapable, but because they've been conditioned to ignore themselves. When you ignore yourself long enough, you start to lose sight of who you are. You stop dreaming. You stop believing that your life has divine purpose. You become a people pleaser, constantly chasing approval and validation while your own voice gets quieter and quieter. That's not noble. That's dangerous. Self-prerogative is not about neglecting others. It's about recognizing that you are the source of the energy, vision, and leadership that the people around you depend on. If the source runs dry, nothing else flows. You can't give love when you're emotionally bankrupt. You can't mentor when you're mentally drained. You can't build when your hands are tied by guilt and fear. Most people don't even realize how exhausted they are because they've never taken the time to focus inward. They confuse movement with progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're building. Just because you're helping others doesn't mean you're honoring your own purpose. You have to pause and ask, am I building something for me or just holding everything together for everyone else? Self-prerogacy requires discipline. It's not just about spa days and quiet time. It's about getting clear on your mission. It means waking up with a plan that aligns with your destiny. It means making decisions that serve your vision, even when it makes others uncomfortable. It's choosing to grow, even if it creates distance between you and people who liked you better when you were stuck. There is nothing wrong with telling people no when yes costs you too much. There is nothing wrong with creating boundaries that protect your peace. There is nothing wrong with saying, I matter too, because if you don't protect your energy, someone else will drain it. If you don't guard your time, someone else will waste it. When you make yourself a priority, you're not saying others don't matter. You're saying you refuse to abandon yourself in the name of serving people who may never pour back into you. That's not selfish. That's stewardship. That's wisdom. That's responsibility. You are responsible for the life you've been given. You are responsible for maximizing your gifts. Think about this. A seed planted in dry, uncultivated ground will never grow. But when you water the soil, give it sunlight and protect it from weeds, the seed can flourish. That's you. You're the soil, the seed, and the gardener. You must be intentional about your growth. No one is coming to do it for you. Self-directed life is also about integrity. It's about doing what you said you would do for yourself. You show up for everyone else, but do you show up for you? Do you keep promises to yourself? Or do you only act when someone else is watching, praising, or approving? You can't lead a team, build a business, or raise a family from an empty place. Prioritizing yourself means refilling the tank spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, so you can move from survival to strategy. So you can stop reacting to life and start designing it. You don't need to apologize for putting yourself first. You need to normalize it. You need to rewire the way you see yourself. You're not an afterthought. You are the main character in your story. And you don't need permission to act like it. And look at the patterns in your life. How many times have you delayed your breakthrough because you were too busy showing up for someone else's comfort while ignoring your own calling? How many times have you settled, shrunk, or sabotage your own progress because you didn't think it was okay to focus on yourself. You were not created to live in cycles of burnout and bitterness. You were created to thrive, to lead, to influence, to build. But you can't do any of that if you're always last on your own list. You must become your own priority, not just in moments of crisis, but every single day. It is what most people call selfish, high achievers call non-negotiable. They understand that their time, energy, and mental space are sacred. They don't give it away freely. They invest it where it multiplies. That's what self-priority looks like in action. It's not self-indulgence, it's self-mastery. And make no mistake, when you elevate yourself, you elevate everything around you. Your family gets a better version of you, your business becomes sharper, your ideas become clearer, your influence grows. But it all begins when you make the bold decision to choose yourself on purpose without guilt. Even in your relationships, your clarity and confidence will shift the atmosphere. People won't always like it. They may not understand it, but they will respect it. Because when you value yourself, you teach others how to value you too. You don't become more valuable by sacrificing yourself. You become more valuable by honoring yourself. And when you do, you'll stop trying to prove your worth and start walking in it. Every single day, you are bombarded with noise. The noise of opinions, the noise of expectations, the noise of fear-based thinking, social media scrolls, and well-meaning voices that keep you stuck where you are. This noise is not just loud, it's constant. And if you're not careful, it becomes the soundtrack of your life. You begin to internalize the noise. You let it tell you what you can and can't do. You let it shape your identity. You let it convince you that safety is better than significance, that comfort is better than calling, that following the crowd is wiser than following your own path. But none of those voices were ever meant to be your guide. There is a voice inside you that's more powerful than all the noise around you. It's not loud, but it's deep. It's not dramatic, but it's clear. It's that quiet knowing, that inner pull, that sacred whisper that says, there is more for you. But to hear it, you've got to get still. You've got to be willing to stop the scroll, pause the performance, and tune out the distractions. You've been taught to always be connected, plugged in, turned on, and dialed in to everything and everyone. But that connection to the world has come at the cost of your connection to yourself. You know everyone else's agenda, but you haven't sat long enough to uncover your own. When was the last time you asked yourself what you really want? When was the last time you allowed yourself to dream without censoring it through other people's doubts or your own fears? That voice inside of you, it's not gone. It's just buried under layers of noise that were never yours to begin with. People will project their limits on you and call it wisdom. They'll offer you advice from a place of fear and expect you to thank them for their caution. But if you keep letting the noise dictate your direction, you'll end up building a life that looks good on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. Your inner voice is your compass. It doesn't scream. It doesn't force. It guides. It reveals. And it waits patiently for you to trust it. But the problem is most people don't trust themselves. They've been taught to doubt their instincts, to second guess their truth, to outsource their decisions to people who never carried their vision. You don't need a committee to validate your calling. You don't need applause to know you're on the right path. What you need is clarity. And clarity doesn't come from chaos. It comes from silence. It comes from stillness. It comes from moments where you are alone with your thoughts and honest about your desires. There's a reason the world wants to keep you distracted, because a distracted person is easy to control. A person who's constantly reacting never has time to create. But when you disconnect from the noise, even for a moment, you remember who you are. You remember what matters. You stop trying to fit in and start trying to break through. Your inner voice doesn't care about trends, likes, or followers. It cares about alignment. It cares about peace. It will never push you to perform. It will always pull you to purpose. But you have to give it space to speak. You have to make room for revelation. The world tells you to be louder, to be faster, to do more, but wisdom often whispers. Breakthrough often begins in quiet. Growth is not always loud. It's often hidden, slow, and sacred. And if you never slow down, you miss it. You weren't created to live at the mercy of other people's opinions. You weren't built to move through life chasing everyone's approval. You were born with a purpose that only you can fulfill. And that purpose is revealed when you listen within, not when you seek without. There's a version of you that is waiting to emerge, but it can't until you stop tuning into fear and start tuning into faith. Faith in your gifts, faith in your direction, faith in the quiet voice that's been speaking to you in moments of stillness. Many of the answers you're looking for have already been whispered to you in dreams, in flashes of inspiration, in gut feelings you ignored, in moments of resistance that tried to keep you from settling. But the more you ignore that voice, the easier it becomes to drown in noise. You can only hear the truth when you remove the filter of fear. You can only move in purpose when you're no longer paralyzed by permission. Silence isn't empty. It's full of information. It's full of strategy. It's full of alignment. But most people are too impatient to sit in it long enough to find out. Start paying attention to the patterns. The way your body feels when something's off. The way your spirit lights up when something aligns. Your inner voice has been communicating through your discomfort, your restlessness, your curiosity. That's not confusion. That's your clarity trying to get your attention. It's time to stop living based on volume and start living based on value. The loudest voices are not always the wisest. The noisiest rooms are not always the most powerful. The clearest path is often the one only you can see. But to walk it, you've got to first listen. And to listen, you've got to silence the noise. You were not born by accident. You didn't just show up on this planet to survive, pay bills, and die. You were born with a specific assignment attached to your existence. An assignment that only you can fulfill. Everything about you, from your personality to your past, was designed to prepare you for that assignment. There is something you are uniquely wired to do. Your fingerprints are evidence that there has never been and never will be another version of you. It's not coincidence. That's confirmation. You carry something that the world needs, something that no one else can deliver in the way you were created to. But the world doesn't teach you to discover your assignment. It teaches you to fit in, to follow the rules, to copy what's safe, repeat what's common, and bury what's different. That's why most people die full of dreams, full of potential, full of ideas that never saw the light of day. Not because they lack talent, but because they never recognized their assignment. Your assignment isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden behind hardship. Sometimes it's disguised in discomfort. Sometimes it gets louder through pain, but make no mistake, it's always there, calling you, pulling you, refusing to let you settle into a life of mediocrity when you were created for greatness. People will try to put you in a box that makes them comfortable, but your assignment won't fit in that box. Your assignment will stretch you. It will call you to leave places that are familiar and walk paths that are lonely. That's not punishment, that's preparation. Purpose doesn't grow in crowds, it grows in obedience. You can't fully discover your assignment while living someone else's version of success. You have to tune out the noise, the pressure, the comparisons, and ask yourself, why am I really here? That question unlocks everything. It shifts your focus from performance to purpose, from doing what's expected to doing what's necessary. Your assignment is not your job, your title, or your resume. Those are tools. Your assignment is the impact you were born to make, the problem you were born to solve, the value you were created to bring. You weren't just born to exist, you were born to shift something. Most people never walk in their assignment because they confuse it with convenience. But your assignment won't always feel good. It will demand sacrifice. It will require vision. It will call you to grow when you'd rather be comfortable. But every time you take a step toward it, you come alive. There's a reason you feel frustrated when you settle. There's a reason you feel restless when you shrink. That's your assignment trying to speak through your discomfort. It's saying, this is not the end for you, there's more. And you can't ignore that voice without consequence. Your assignment may not look impressive to other people. It may not go viral or trend, but it doesn't need to. It just needs to be fulfilled. It just needs to be activated. It just needs you to say yes, even when you don't have all the answers. Your background didn't disqualify you, it equipped you. Your failures didn't cancel your assignment, they shaped your understanding of it. Every experience, every disappointment, every lesson was part of the training. Nothing was wasted. Not even the moments you wanted to give up. You don't need to be perfect to walk in your assignment. You just need to be willing to learn, willing to evolve, willing to obey the tug that says, there's something more you were made to do. The power is in your yes. The breakthrough is in your obedience. Stop waiting for clarity that only comes after commitment. You don't get the full blueprint on day one. You get instructions as you move. You get insight in the process, but you'll never discover the assignment if you keep sitting still, trying to avoid discomfort. There are people connected to your assignment. People you may never meet, but who will be changed by your obedience. That's why playing small isn't noble, it's selfish. Because when you hide, others suffer. When you delay, others wait. You are someone's answer, someone's inspiration, someone's shift. The moment you start aligning your actions with your assignment, you unlock a different level of power. You stop chasing opportunity and start attracting it. You stop striving and start flowing. Because when you're walking in purpose, provision follows, clarity follows, peace follows. You weren't designed to mimic, you were designed to manifest. You carry something original, something heaven deposited, something solution oriented, but it won't manifest until you believe it's real. Until you stop denying the very thing you were born to do. There's nothing wrong with being different when you were born to make a difference. There's nothing wrong with breaking patterns when you were called to create new paths. Don't dim your light to fit into rooms your assignment was meant to illuminate. You don't need a platform to start. You just need a decision. A decision to listen. A decision to move, a decision to honor the assignment that's been whispering to you in the quiet moments, waiting for you to remember who you are and why you were sent here. Purpose is not something that just appears one day fully formed. It is revealed over time and only to those who are willing to invest in discovering it. Too many people are waiting for purpose to fall into their lap, but they've made no deposits into their own growth, no sacrifices for their own future, and no commitments to the process required to uncover it. You cannot walk in purpose casually. It demands something from you. It demands your time, your focus, your discipline, your energy. Purpose will not manifest in a life ruled by distractions. If you spend all your time reacting, scrolling, comparing, and complaining, don't expect clarity. Purpose responds to intention, not passivity. Purpose doesn't chase the comfortable path. It chooses the necessary one. It will require you to leave your comfort zone, confront your weaknesses, and sometimes